Now today I'm going to be reviewing my Ridgid 10-inch sliding compound miter saw. Now I'm doing another review on this. This is actually my second review that's going to be on YouTube. I've done a few others that I haven't put up on YouTube because I don't think they're good enough to really show what this saw can do, because I really do like this saw. It's a good saw from my shop, my needs, and so today I'm just going to do another, hopefully better review than my last one, which was put up on my other channel. So hopefully I'm going to do a better review today and give you an idea of what this saw can do and what its weaknesses are. So let's get right to it. Alright, so right now I'm just going to give you a quick peek of the entire saw, and the first thing I'm going to talk about today is design and how this saw is built and what makes it a good design and what makes it a bad design. Alright, now first of all, this design is pretty different from what other saws the way other saws are designed. It has this handle that reaches right over the center of the blade, and it's on both sides of, it extends on both sides of the saw blade cover, which is unique in its design, and it's also really helpful. Most saws have a handle like this mounted horizontally, either on one or the other sides of the saw. If you're left-handed, they're usually built for right-handed people, so they're usually over here, and for left-handed people, that's kind of an annoyance. Now, I'm not left-handed, but sometimes on a miter saw, you do need to switch hands. So this handle is an awesome design, because it's very comfortable to grab from either side, and there's safety switches. This is how you have to turn the saw on. You pull this in and pull the trigger in order to fire the saw up, and there's safety switches on both sides for if you're left or right-handed, and this is an awesome feature. So that's probably one of the best design features that this saw has that others don't. Now, another thing about this saw is the amount of handles it has. It has one handle up here, it's got another handle right above the motor, and it has a last handle down at the end of the rails for the sliding mechanism. And right here, I'm going to show you right now, it slides really well. Whoops, my dust collection hose fell off of it. I didn't have that strapped on. But this slides really well, so that's a nice feature in design, and it does not want to move. This table is moving more than the saw itself, so this does not deflect very much, which I really like about that. Now, another nice feature about this saw is, well, it's not really specific to this saw, but it is an innovation, and it's these controls that are up here. Now, these controls are really nice because you can control both miter angles and bevel angles, all from the front of the saw, which is really nice. Now, before, on my old saw, you used to have to reach around the back and unscrew something, tip the saw, screw it back down. Anyway, it was really complicated. This one's super easy. To unlock it, you just pull up on this lever. And when you pull up on this, the saw will tip to the left. Now, if you want to go to the right, all you have to do is push down on this little lever over here. So I'll go ahead and do that. And you can see the saw is now going to be able to go this way. So I'll show you that later. And we can pull this back up and lock this back down. And now we are back into 90 degrees where it's at right now. Now, another thing is the positive, or the miter gauge here, which is metal over here, which is a nice feature, and to change these miter adjustments, all you have to do is pull up on this and move this thing over, and this pushes both ways, so if you're right or left-handed, and you can move it this way, and it has miter detent, so I'll spin it and it will stop at a certain angle, and I'll move it back now to 0, and again it stops. Now, if you want to get more specific with angles, you can go to, say, 5 degrees, which there's not a positive stop here, and we can push down on this, and this will lock the saw in place. Alright, so now I will show you the bevel angles. I'm going to pull up on the unlock side. I can tip the saw, and if I tip it back, you'll notice it stops at 90 degrees. That's because I have to push down on that little lever on the right-hand side, and now it can go to the right. and this is a really nice feature. Just it helps you get it back to 0 degrees or 90 to the table, and so just pull back up on this, bring it over, and lock it down, and now you're back at 90 degrees. Alright, so we're going to get a little shaky, but I decided to, it's going to be a little easier for me to just walk you around the saw to show you some of the stuff. Now right here is a very nice blade guard. It's got these little wheels on the bottom which roll across your piece of lumber. And that's an alright feature, you know, that's nice to have. It's got some little slots in the front so you can sight down the blade to line up your cuts, which is also nice, and it's made really strong, so I'm pretty happy about that. My last one on my last saw actually shattered. It caught the blade. This was a really bad saw, or the last saw that I had was really bad, and so I wanted to invest in a good cover this time, so I'm really pleased with this. Now over here we have this little piece which locks the saw in the down position, so I'll just push this down and then we can push in the lock and it's locked in place. Now to unlock it, just push down on the saw, pull it out, and it will let up. Now over here is a little depth stop, so you can stop at different depths for if you're making, say you want to make a 0 clearance sort of fence and table, and you don't want to come all the way down. That's one thing. You can cut half laps and dados on this saw, and you can see my half laps video if you go to my channel, or I might post a link on the video. And that system uses this little piece which flips down and this depth adjustment. So that's another nice feature. Back here you can see that little drawing of like some crown molding and some locks. That's a system to lock the saw out a certain ways on the slide to cut crown. Pretty nice for that. And over here is the locking system for the slide. And right here you've got a cord wrap to easily wrap your cord up, which is right here, and it's pretty long. I'm not exactly sure what the length is on that. And also over here you have these little flip out pieces that can be adjusted with this screw in order to set a perfect angle every time if you're making repetitive bevel angles. So that's nice. And also up here we have a dust port in the back which I will slip on this dust collection hose when I'm using it. And that just goes on like this. And that's pretty much all for some of the small features. Alright, so there's a few more things here. I talked about this earlier, I think. This is a metal angle adjuster, so this is really nice. It's not going to wear out, and this is not a sticker, which is also pretty nice, so you know it's going to stay on here. And these pieces these numbers are engraved in. Real easy to read, super nice for that. It also has some little notes for cutting crown, and that's pretty nice. Table is good. This sat out in the garage for a little while, and it got a little dirty, but other than that, it's still really, really nice, and it's going to last a long time, I can tell you that. Back here, we have the fence with these fences. Actually, I'm going to talk about these for a second. These are a little bit lightweight. They definitely do the job. They're a little lightweight. I don't love that, but you know, for me, it's nice because whenever I need to take the saw anywhere, I can easily pick it up and move it without adding too much weight. These flip back and forth. I don't really know what that is for. These slide back and forth by unscrewing this. You can slide them in order to set for bevel angles, and that's about it there. Also, I'm going to talk about this clamp for a second. Alright, now I would say that this clamp is both a strength and weakness of this saw. Now, it's nice because it has so many adjustments, but it's bad because you have to adjust it correctly in order for it to work properly. If you don't get it correct, then your board will move on you when you tighten this down. But other than that, it's pretty nice. It's got this quick release lever, well, not lever, but quick release action, and also it has this other quick release on the front, so you can quickly move this piece up and down, get it to the right height, and then screw it down the rest of the way. So this overall is a pretty nice feature. Now, another design feature on this saw is dust collection. Now, dust collection on this saw is alright. Some of the DeWalt saws I've found are better. Some of the higher end models have a little bit better dust collection. This is decent, I would say. It does a pretty good job, not perfect. Obviously, it's never going to be perfect on these things, but this is a decent dust collection system. Now, right here, I have this little piece of aluminum or tin material. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I got it out of one of those cooking trays, and you can see a video on this on my channel, and I may post a link to that as well. But this helps to collect a little bit more of the dust. Now, something that some of you may have noticed is that this is a belt-driven saw. The motor is mounted in the back here, and it comes up to the blade through a belt. Now, when I got this saw and first opened up this side compartment here, which is just this little piece that comes off with a few screws, it revealed this poly V-ribbed belt, and I'll give you a better look at that in just a second. But this is a really nice feature because this reduces vibration and noise, which is really nice. And I would not think that a saw at this price point would come with a feature like that. So that makes me really happy that it does have that feature. And so overall, I'm pretty happy with that. And I'll give you a closer look now. Alright, and here I'm just going to give you a better look at this poly V-ribbed belt. Alright, now there's two last features I want to show you. One here is the light, which turns on a light over on this side of the saw. This is kind of nice on job sites, however, I don't really need it in my bright shop. And this other one over here is the laser. So if you push this, which my laser's already turned on, but if you push this button, it turns the laser on, and I'll bring the saw up. That is stored right up here. You can see this little piece here, and the laser is right in there, right above the blade, so that's really helpful. Now this is a dual laser, so it shines on both sides of the blade. However, you can't really see it all that well because it's pretty bright in my shop, but there's one side here, and this side I got to line up with the blade. However, this side here, which I don't think you can really see on camera, that one's a little bit less bright, but that one does not want to line up with the blade, so I'm not really sure why. I've been adjusting it, I can't get it there, so that's a little bit annoying. Tell me if you know how to fix that, but other than that, this laser works really well. I got it perfectly lined up with the blade, so I use this a lot to line up my cuts. Alright, so now that I've showed you some of the design and features, I'm going to go into a little on the performance. Alright, now here you see the motor. Now this motor has a few downsides to it. Number one is the fact that it just doesn't have the sheer power of some of the other saws, like the DeWalt. Now recently I've been using the DeWalt 12-inch saw, and I used one a few days ago to cut through some thick 1.5-inch maple benchtop. And that saw, let's just say it went through it. It didn't go fast, didn't go slow. So I can tell you from that experience, this saw would have some issues with getting through stuff that thick. However, if you took it slow with a sharp blade, no doubt in my mind you can get through that stuff. Now, another bad feature, well, it's not necessarily bad, but annoying feature on this saw is the slow start. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a nice feature to have. When you're making a slow, accurate cut, it's nice because it doesn't jerk the saw out of your hand, jerk your hand up when you're starting up the saw, and that's something that I like about this. However, that slow start can be very annoying when you're trying to make quick, rough cuts or something with a stop block. It's really annoying because it just takes so long for the saw to get started up. Other than that though, this is a pretty decent motor. Alright, so I'm going to get into some test cuts now. And one more thing that I didn't mention before is that this is the factory blade, stock blade, right off the saw. This is a Freud Diablo 10-inch 40-tooth blade. This is a pretty good blade. In the future, I might upgrade to higher tooth count for crosscuts, but for right now, this is good, and this is awesome that this saw came with this blade. I can't believe it. and this is the best stock blade I've ever seen on a saw. So I'm going to go ahead and make a cut in this cherry, and I'm going to leave my dust collector off because I want you to be able to hear what this saw sounds like without any other noise in the room. So let's go ahead and make this cut. Alright, and I'll make one more cut with the dust collector on, just so that you can see what the dust collection is like on this saw, and I'm going to keep this little piece in here that I made as well, so just keep that in mind. There it is, the Ridgid 10-inch sliding compound miter saw. Now, I really like this saw, and I would definitely recommend it, depending on who you are. If you're a DIYer or a hobbyist woodworker, definitely I would recommend it. It's a great price. However, if you're a professional, I probably wouldn't recommend it because it does lack some power, but other than that, the features on this saw for the price are just unmatched. This is an excellently priced saw. Absolutely love the features, and I couldn't be happier with the saw that I chose. So again, this is the Ridgid 10-inch sliding compound miter saw. If you have any other questions, just leave them in the comments, and please subscribe to my woodworking channel, Croy Woodworks. Thanks again.